but she's not doing insurance therapy, y'all. She's doing physical therapy. She's doing other therapies that she is trained in. Most of us that are taking insurance are not doing physical therapy. We are doing insurance therapy.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Today, I have a very special guest. Now, before I bring on this guest, I look, this podcast is not supposed to be about me, but I have created this book called The Clinician's Guide to Multiple Income Streams. And I talk about different income streams inside of this book. But the guest that I have on today has created an income stream that most people are taking a poop on right now. And and so that's what I that's why I wanted to bring the book up because my guest, Karen DeSimone, welcome to the podcast, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, she has been able to create everything that I'm promoting to people through digital products, through solution-based offers, apps. That's what I tell people because I have said, look, working in the clinic, especially working in insurance-based, you're not going to be able to have any level of work-life balance, any type of freedom. Well, she proved me wrong because she has been averaging about 23 hours a week. Karen generates in revenue on average, and she can give us all the direct numbers, over $300,000 a year, over 30K a month. She is totally solo. She has no admin. She has no other therapists that are working with her. She's built a practice around that. And I think if I asked 10 therapists, if you could take insurance, make over 300K a year, work less than 30 hours a week, actually more like 25 hours a week, and if you could do the thing that you love, would you do it? I think 9 out of 10 people would say, I would take that. So with that said, Karen, welcome.
Thank you, Todd. Thank
All
you,
right.
Greg.
So let's talk about a few things. Why don't you tell people what you do, who you are, and how you got into practice? Because I'm assuming you didn't start a practice right out of school, correct? So tell your
No,
story a little
no,
bit.
I was a pretty seasoned therapist by the time I opened my clinic.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you my age right now because I opened my clinic in 2009. So
Okay.
we're coming up on 17 years just in my
Wow.
clinic alone. So I've been in the industry 26 years now. So yeah, I went to school at MGH, IHP, so Mass General Hospital Institute of Health Professions, and I worked at a MGH for about five years, 5+ years before in the inpatient side of things, before I even went into outpatient. And I just have to say, give them a little plug. I had the best mentors, so that was, a part of my foundation. But I opened my clinic in 2009 when I moved to Cape Cod in Massachusetts
Mhm.
because, at working with MGH and having that as my background, I had a very high standard for myself and for what I was going to be able to, just how I was going to serve. And so that was that was just who I am. That was what I decided I was going to serve at my highest level possible. And I wasn't seeing that happening here because of a lot of things that were changing within the industry. So that's how I
Mhm.
ended up even having my own clinic, is I just didn't like what I was seeing happen.
So having your own clinic was not part of the initial plan. And I'm saying this because that's my story as well, right? I
Right.
wasn't planning on, hey, I'm in school, I'm going to open up my own practice, and this, like, no, that wasn't part of the plan. It was created out of pain, and I think
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed with all the clients and that I've worked with over the years is most of us really didn't want to do this. We feel like we were forced into it, and it sounds like that's a lot of your
Yeah,
story as
that's
well.
that's a really good way to phrase it, because and that's why I am solo, because I
Uh,
never really wanted to have a big company or multiple clinics, or to me that meant more of the exact thing I don't enjoy, more administration, more oversight of people, more managing things I didn't like. I'm a clinician. I want to treat my clients. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at problem solving and executing and helping them return to function. So if I was doing all those other things, it was taking away the one thing I actually loved.
Right.
And that's why I stayed solo, because I didn't want that. And when I saw other people growing, I said, is this what growth looks like? And
Right.
I just said, there's got to be another way. And so I just had
That,
that idea in my mind, and I just accepted there has to be another way. So that
you
was what
know,
took it out.
I never did that. I never questioned if there was another way. So can I just tell you something real quick before we go on? Don't worry, everybody. You're gonna hear her whole story. But I'm here just I'm here thinking about no, I'm serious. I'm here
Yeah.
thinking about this for myself. So for me, it was 2004, going into 2005. And at that time, I had grown this practice for a company, core rehabilitation. I was seeing like 20 something patients a day by myself. I had one other therapist, and we were like growing out the seams, and they couldn't find therapists for me. And I'm like, I can't do this. And I remember them saying, my boss saying at the time, look, Greg, if you want to make more money and you want to have more freedom, there's only one way to do it. You have to go into management. That's what he said to me. And I never questioned it. So he said, you got to go into management. The only thing I knew was I could have my own practice. But in my mind, I never questioned what you questioned. I never said, could I do this and have all the things that I want, but do it by myself? I only saw freedom will only happen if I hire a bunch of people, which I ended up doing, if I have a whole lot of therapists, if I never even thought of the path that you took. So I
Isn't
have to
that
tell you
interesting
this.
though? Like
Well done.
we accept ideas
Yeah.
because somebody that we either admire or we trust, or they have some authority in that area of expertise. So we just accept those ideas.
Yeah.
And you were in a position where that person was one of those things for you, and you just accepted that idea that this was the only way.
It's the
And
only
I
way.
don't know
Yeah.
what it was about why I didn't accept that idea. Probably because it just felt so miserable to me. I'm just
Mm,
like, this isn't what I want, and this is what I'm good at. So how can I use my skill, the one that I've worked so hard to achieve, because, that was my passion, and how can I use that skill and still serve at the highest level? And
right.
so that kind of just was rattling around in my brain. And I tried lots of things before I failed and failed at a lot of things too. So don't get me wrong. There was a lot of things that I had tried that didn't work.
Hmm.
But when I found this, I knew it was my way. I knew it was
Yeah.
what was
So
going to help.
so let me ask you this. You've been practicing now, it's 16 years. It's going on
In
16
my
years in
clinic.
your
So
own clinic. Yeah.
26 years out of school, and
Yeah.
almost 17 in my clinic. In a few months, August will be 17 years.
Yeah. So before we go on to the actual clinic and the setup of the clinic, what was that moment for you where you realized this ain't gonna work? You were in year 10. Where you're like, this is not going to work if I continue in this traditional way. What happened? What was going on in your head?
Well, a lot of things were happening within the industry, which I think most of us are feeling that still and felt that back then. And I think the shift was happening more and more progressively at that time, that
Hmm.
insurance reimbursement was declining.
Right.
Well, that was the shift where the Affordable Care Act kind of came out at that point. So we really saw that decline in reimbursement. And
Right.
I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and people are complaining around me about, not even in the physical therapy world, people are complaining around me that they're only getting 3% and 4% raises. And I'm like, when was the last time we had a raise? When was the
Right.
last
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
our money, our reimbursement went up? And who's really, sticking up for us? And we're allowing this. I'm allowing this by accepting it. I'm allowing it. So the only
Mm,
one to blame is myself by saying this is the way it is and just accept that for being the way it is. So I saw that if I continued to do that, I was never going to be able to retire. I was never going to be away from the clinic. I was never going to have vacation with my family. So there were so many things I felt like I was missing out on my life. Now again, I was getting older at this point. So I'm looking to the future going, what does my future look like? This isn't what I wanted. This isn't why I did this. So there has to, again, the question came back. There has to be another way. So what can that look like for me?
Right. That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
so now we're in 2009. You open up your practice. Um, I really want to talk about like how like what you initially did, and then let's talk about what you're doing. So let's do kind of a segment here, like the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay.
Okay.
So you said to me, all right, when I started out, it didn't necessarily work right. I mean, you've got it figured out now. What did you do initially? Um, and how did it work out for you when you got started?
Yeah, well, when I started my clinic, I was just trying to earn my salary that I was already making. I wasn't
Hmm.
trying to grow or do anything different. It was a few years into my practice that I knew that this wasn't going to be uh, give me the retirement or the financial freedom or the time freedom that I wanted. So I said, okay,
Yeah.
let's find another. The model's broken. The model's
Hmm.
continuously broken, and we're trying to fix a broken model. So I'm not going to be able to fight the model that exists. I have to create a new model to exist within. So
Hmm.
the new model that I created, and I'm not going to take full credit for this because I learned it from other people. That's what success is, right? We learn from other
Hmm.
people and then we mold it and make it our own so that it works for us within what we do best. So I learned some things from a chiropractor actually, which is why you
Hmm.
don't see this very much in the physical therapy world because I didn't learn it from physical therapists or this industry. So I learned how to use certain pieces of equipment modalities to help the healing process. And I'm sure other PT clinics are doing this too. But the way I did it is I designed it into programs. So what I failed at miserably was trying to fix a broken model. Okay, so we tried to do upsells. We tried to sell other things within the clinic. We tried to do network marketing. We tried to do all kinds of things, and they weren't successful for me. I know that's very successful for other people, but for me, it didn't work out so wonderfully. And even though I believe in some of those products and I think they're great, but for me, what worked was the one thing that we said, we're always going to serve our clients at the highest level.
Hmm.
We're always going to focus on outcomes. But what was missing was the structure behind it. So once I knew what the structure was going to deliver that for my clients, that's when everything shifted. So once I started selling programs and stopped trying to do transactional visits, that's when the shift happened. So we focus on structure, we focus on outcomes, which helped predict the revenue, which gave us the freedom. So we kind of built it on those four pillars. And that's what shifted everything for me within the clinic is when I did that.
So you did a solutions-based offer. You're basic.
I did exactly what you teach, just
Okay,
in a different way.
but you're doing it with but you're which is fantastic. Okay, I got the model now. But most of the people that are coming into your practice are using insurance, correct?
Most of the people that come in my practice use insurance. We use insurance as our funnel, but not as our freedom.
Okay, gotcha. Ooh, that's a good line. Okay, so so can you walk me through? Just think of a client that you have right now, how they started with you. Just walk me through the whole workflow of what typically happens. So let's just say Greg Todd. Greg Todd is up in Massachusetts. I hurt my back. I want to come in and I want to work with you, Karen. Okay, so I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. All right. And I've got the crappy whatever. I don't know. Let's say 10 visits, whatnot. Okay. So then what happens? What happens when I call you?
What happens when you call me is for me, you say, oh, I have a back issue. I said, we can help you. We can definitely help
Mhm.
you. So it depends on how the phone call goes. But I'm always going to ask them questions. And again, if say they have a back problem, we know we can help them 9 out of 10 times. And the only thing
Mhm.
that we can't help with, which was very different than when I was just physical therapy alone and not doing these solution-based offers, because when a person came in with back problems, depending on the significance, the severity, and the length of their condition, like the chronicity of it, would would sometimes determine the outcome we were going to be able to deliver. So we weren't always able to get them back to full function. And now
Yeah.
we are 9 out of 10 times. The only time we're not able to get them back to full function is if they have something unstable. And that's really important because most of the time they're in a stable situation. They don't have like a grade 3 spondylolisthesis or
Hmm.
something like that. So if they don't have that, we're going to be able to help them, which is really, really, really cool. So I love that. So they walk in they call me. I want to get all the diagnostic testing they've already had. Most of the time they've
Hmm.
had it. If they haven't, we work with them to either obtain it or work with them to a point they can get some diagnostic testing. And I walk them through a regular physical therapy examination, just like I would with anybody. We're going to identify impairments just like we would with anybody. But what we do a little differently that I was doing as a physical therapist, and I hope everybody else is as well, is really identifying what their pain is and what, no, I don't mean their pain like, okay, my back hurts. I mean, how is this impacting their life?
Hmm.
What is the significance of this problem that they're having? What is it causing their life to look like? And what are they feeling is going to be their future if they continue on the road they're on? So we're really getting a really good understanding of who this person is, not just what their physical therapy impairments are. Who is this person and how is it impacting their life? Because when
Right.
people are in pain and they're afraid that they're never going to be better, you've identified something that you can really make a significant difference in their lives. And that's what we do. We change lives. We change
Right.
outcomes for people. People that felt like they weren't going to ever have hope again now understand what we do and how we do it. So they they move forward with our packages. And it's not always on day one. It might be on day 7, it might be on day 14. It might be they come and they're not ready for that and they come back a few months later. So it's not always right in that moment. But we build those relationships and then they see what we do and then they move forward.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing, at least so far, is that in your physical therapy examination, we're not limiting the impairment to just an impairment and that, oh, I have back problems. We're figuring out how that back problem is helping the totality of their situation, right? How it's hurting not just their health, but how it's hurting their relationships, how it's hurting their ability to participate in certain things that bring them joy, how it's hurting, you know, maybe even their occupation, their just all the different things, and really helping them have a different level of awareness on how this one problem is not truly transactional. It's not just this one thing. It's not just a 6 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 pain. This is actually translating into not being able to do this or not being able to participate in this or in disrupting this. Okay,
Yeah,
so
they
that
can't go
is
on vacation. They
fantastic.
can't sit. They can't stand. They can't play with their grandchildren or their children, or they're
Right,
not able to get through the grocery store without having to sit. They're more and more not doing the things that they enjoy in their life. They can't go for a walk, or they can't go to the beach, or they can't
right,
go for a drive. They can't get on a plane. They're avoiding vacation. I mean, there's so many ways it impacts it. They might not sleep in the same room as their significant other because, it's too painful to be, they're shifting and tossing and turning and they're up all night. So
right.
it's really impacting their life. And here's the thing with about most people that I see, they've already decided that they don't want surgery. But what
Hmm.
they don't know is there's another way.
Right,
They don't know there's a way around that because they've been told, just like we were talking about earlier, they've accepted that idea that there's no other way. Their options are surgery, medication, or injections, and they're missing this whole other option that's going to get them back to full function without any of those. And that's
right.
what I love about it. And I could not
Okay.
do that as before I implemented this structure, this framework that I do now.
So now we have gotten people to identify the gravity and the severity of their problem. Now you are presenting programs to them and not presenting just a visit at a time. So my question, and I know the viewers' questions right now is, how are you presenting these programs to people and getting their insurance to be able to reimburse, I'm assuming, a portion of the program.
Well, this is where it's very has to be very clear.
Hmm.
Okay. There's two parts of our system, two parts of my clinic. We have physical therapy and we have KD 360 wellness. Okay.
Okay.
So physical therapy covers physical therapy. KD 360 wellness is cash-based programs. So we're a hybrid. So we
Right.
accept insurance and we are reimbursed for physical therapy under the physical therapy guidelines. What we do in this other piece of our clinic is the wellness packages, the Freedom from Spine program package that we offer them that is cash based only. So, yes, we run them concurrently, and the portions that we normally would get reimbursed for, we still get reimbursed for. But these other things that are actually helping their body get back to full function, we're fixing the mechanics, we're fixing the healing of the structures that have been damaged. We're doing that all at the same time. That is not covered by insurance.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And so basically, hopefully everybody's following this. What Karen is doing is from the initial visit, she is painting the picture to them of their issues or their problems, not the severity and how much it is affecting. So we are not amplifying the problem, we're just making them realize how big the problem is. Okay. And then part two is she's reminding them of their standards and really the fact that they really don't want to, they want to get this thing resolved and they want to get this thing resolved without going under the knife. Right. Okay. And then now she is presenting to them what their insurance is allowing them to be able to do. But she's not doing insurance therapy, y'all. She's doing physical therapy. She's doing other therapies that she is trained in. Most of us that are taking insurance are not doing physical therapy. We are doing insurance therapy. That's what you can take away from today's podcast. She's doing physical therapy and other therapies that she has trained herself in. That might include equipment, using equipment. That might include using her hands. That might include education. It's probably a combination of all of them. Okay. And she is allowing people to take ownership of their situation. Okay. I want everybody to understand this because this is extremely important because I'm going to go somewhere with this in a second. When you take ownership, you understand that your insurance is giving you certain things, but it doesn't give you everything. And Karen said that she learned this from a chiropractor. You want to know where I learned a lot of my stuff from? A dentist. I have insurance clinics, and we do just fine. And we have a lot of people go into our cash-based services. I use insurance, and I think Karen does the same thing. I use insurance as a loss leader. Insurance is my best marketing tool that I have. And you know I'm a marketer. I'm all over social media. I'm everywhere. The best marketing tool I have in my clinic is insurance.
Mhm.
Okay? Because people want to use their insurance. But in order for it to work, if you're going to take insurance, which I think is for especially most of you struggle with marketing, insurance will be your best marketer for you
Mhm.
because people want to use their insurance and people are trained and indoctrinated to have insurance, right?
And that's why I never gave it up because it
And
is
that,
my
yeah,
best funnel. And
it's,
and
yeah,
every
so that's funnel.
and all the other marketing strategies that I tried were not successful, no matter
Right.
how much I invested in them. They they
And
they weren't as successful. It was more
right.
going out than the ROI. And so
Yeah.
I said, well, why would I give up insurance if it's my best funnel?
But you did something that most people don't do. What you did is you got people from the get-go to take ownership of here's what your insurance gives you. It is not enough. You can, by the way, if you only want to use your insurance, it's fine. But what I am not going to do is I'm not going to to tell you that that's enough just because that's all you want to do. Okay,
Right.
I'm telling you that it's an option. It's no different than me going to a site and I'm now looking at getting a service, and they have three tiers. Tier one is the entry tier. It's not going to be the best. Tier two is going to be a bit better than tier one, but tier two is not going to be the best either. Tier three is going to be the best. And everybody understands, whether they say it or not, they understand that the best is never the cheapest and the cheapest is never the best. And not everybody has to do it. If you want to use tier one, use tier one. But
And going cheap is very expensive.
and going cheap is very expensive long term. Okay, it's
That's right.
very, and I just believe that for most things in my life, I just want to buy once, cry once. That's it, and let me just get it over with. Here, what's so funny? I'm using this AI system primarily called Claude, right? Okay, and some of you listening, you might have tried Claude, you're probably using ChatGPT or whatever. But in Claude, they have three different levels. It's the same thing. They have a free, and initially I started off at the free, okay, and about 3 hours in, I'm like, oh no, I got to move to the paid one. This is too good. I want better. And then about 5 hours in, I was like, wait, that $20 one is no good. I need more. And now I'm on the 100.
Use all your tokens. You need to
Yeah, I
upgrade.
use all my tokens. So I'm like, oh no, I got to be on the best one. So you guys, this is what happens when you give people the option. So with that said, now Karen has a practice that is, and can you talk about some of the stats of your practice? Let's talk about number one. How many hours are you working on average a week?
Yeah, I work 2.5 days. So I work two longer days because I like to be in the clinic. I like to work my longer days on Monday and Thursday, and then I
Mhm.
do the overflow on Tuesdays. So I usually do a lot of my evaluations on Tuesday, or do anyone with a 3 day a week frequency on the Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Number two is if you're comfortable sharing, your average monthly revenue that you're bringing into your practice.
Yeah, it fluctuates, and I haven't really taken a good look at it this quarter because we're shifting, and I'm really focusing on some of my online packaging to help other clinic owners. So it's roughly like 25 to 30, I'd say.
Yeah, 25 to 30. Okay. And right now you are staffing wise, team wise.
No, just me. AI.
Okay.
AI helps. And I do have somebody that does my billing for me, and she
Okay.
does collections. But other than that, there's nobody else in the clinic.
Okay, so let's talk about just you and AI. Okay, so how are you doing this? Because this is really important because I mean honestly, everybody listening, you could probably do this. Okay, all right?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like,
Like you could probably do this.
if I could do it, I don't see how anyone can't do it. I mean,
Right.
I'm not doing anything that I didn't learn in school. I use my knowledge, and Greg, you and I think we talked about this before. We build relationships with our clients because we
Right.
see them a lot.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And then they're actually my best referral source, right? My patients
Right.
referring other people to me. And so they'll come back to me for this problem and that problem and whatnot. And they're kind of like my extended family, right? So we build relationships with them, and that's how it goes. So they come back and they refer, and they're the ones who actually I just made a new program for them because they wanted a maintenance program on top of things. So I finally put some different tiers together for
Okay.
that as well. So now they have a formal maintenance program to go along with their other things.
You talked about AI. How are you using AI inside of your practice to help you with running it solo?
Well, we're building systems with AI using Claude. We're, creating skills within my clinic, and that's underway as well. So I'm working with that. And I use it for social media. I use it to help me
Hmm.
with the social media. I use a platform that you introduced me to as well to kind of organize everything I use it to help me with my email sequencing for my clients. We do a weekly
Hmm.
newsletter for them. So I use it for that. I use it for some of my note writing as well.
Hmm.
And we just have to make sure we're always, HIPAA compliant and things like that. But when I use it for that, I use it for doctor's letters. If I'm writing an insurance letter to get approval, I just had a client for workers' comp, and I just had to do a progress note for that. So I let it help me create that. I do it for like if I'm doing research for something, we'll look through AI to get the research data that does that very, very quickly, so we can get some statistics and the data around that. So we use it for those
Okay.
kinds of things. And I know I'm not even using it to its fullest, but
Yeah. Yeah.
those are just some things off the tip of the.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Somebody wants to work with Karen today. Karen sees patients Tuesday, Monday. Wait, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays. Is that right?
I work
Monday.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Yes.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Okay. So if somebody wants to work with you, um, and you're seeing patients, they leave a message and you just get back to them. Is that
Oh
pretty
yeah,
much how you
like
do
I
it?
mean,
Yeah.
you can email me, you can reach me on LinkedIn mostly, and that's why I like my Wednesdays and my Fridays to have meetings and phone calls and reach
Yeah.
out to people from that regard. So I want to block in that time to do that. So for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, let me ask you this. For someone that's listening right now, they're like, I want to start building something like this. Because here's the deal. Guys, look, I am I'm a proponent. Like people ask me, okay, Greg, what do you think about cash-based services? I was like, I think cash-based services are great. I just know that not every market can handle it. Like not every market can handle full out straight cash base. Okay. If you live in a market where people don't value, or at least initially value your work, they're not going to do cash base. I'm not saying people won't do it. I mean, I've had hundreds of clients where they can do it fully, but it's not something everyone can do. I truly believe that the only one that everyone can do is insurance because the majority of people have insurance, okay? Or online because online I'm not relegated to my geographical region.
Mhm.
So as long as I'm serving a, a widespread problem, I don't have to worry that you are in the Tampa Bay area. Like you could be in Massachusetts and I could work with you. You could be in California, I could work with you. You could be in Canada. I just had a call with somebody yesterday from Canada and I could work with them. I had a call for somebody, in India or Australia. It's fine. I can do it. Um, so
With that said, Greg, I that's what got me to create this program.
yeah,
Because I said, if I, this problem exists for me, and I can't help everybody because everybody isn't local to me. So how can I help other people? And I knew the burnout issues for other physical therapy clinic owners, and what I was struggling with. And I'm like, if I'm struggling with this, I know other people are struggling with this.
yeah.
And so I felt really obligated to do something so I could me serving at a higher level would be helping other therapists. And then
Let's
the
talk about
therapists are
it.
helping other people have better outcomes. So I felt
Right.
obligated to kind of put what I do on paper so I could help other
Yeah.
people. And that's kind of where it happened. So
So besides you having your practice, your insurance-based hybrid practice, and you're also now helping other therapists to basically create a version of this. So let's talk about that. What does that actually look like?
so what does it look like how I help other clinicians do
Yes.
what I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I created a program called Freedom from Back Pain Clinical Success System. So it's online. It's totally implementation. It's not just theory. It's how you can implement this exact system that gives you the exact framework with the four pillars that we just talked about into your clinic. And it is, there are videos that you go through and it gives you step by step by step. It gives you all of the handouts that I give to people, all the paperwork that they fill out. It gives you how to price them, how to sell them. It gives you everything you need from beginning to end in a very structured way. And if you go through this, you will have the same system I implement in my clinic.
That's awesome. Okay, so where can people find out about that or find out about you? Is there a site or somewhere people
Yeah,
can go?
actually, I think the first place to start is to start with the framework for your own clinic, before you even buy any equipment if you don't already have it. And think about your clinic, who you want to be treating, who your perfect client is. And I think that's really going to set them up for where they go next. So I did
Hmm.
create a free downloadable document for them. It's two separate documents that they can download, and I have it free for them at any time. And they can go to this URL. It's clinicalarchitecture.co/starter.
Okay.
Clinicalarchitecture.co/starter. And that's where they can just download that in a minute. And that will get them started. That will give them the framework and the structure to see where they're at and see how they want to design and develop their own clinic.
Yeah, I think this is amazing. I think this is insurance is not going away. Um, Patients aren't going away. But if we don't meet people where they're at, then we will go away.
It's unsustainable.
And
And if the
it
people
really
haven't
is.
seen right now, especially with AI, we were just talking about that, how things are going to continue to shift more and more now that AI is, I'm sure in the insurance companies are using AI. They're going to be
Hmm.
doing more audits. They're going to be doing more takebacks. We're already seeing that in my clinic as well. So the shift is real. And if you're allowing somebody else to tell you what you're generating for your income, I think that's a big mistake, and we can do something about it. So I want everyone to accept the idea that they can create their own economy and it can look how they want it to look. But they first have to accept that idea, and then they have to have the courage to step out. And I know I've been burned a lot in the past, and I'm sure other people have too.
Hmm.
But you have to take a step and believe in yourself. So I think if you trust your own clinical skill and you trust your clients, believe in yourself that you can do something.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Guys, clinical architecture, I'll put it in the show notes. Clinicalarchitecture.co/starter. Clinicalarchitecture.co, not C-O-M, C-O/starter. Get it, like put this into play. And
Yeah.
and by the way, if you're listening and you're new and you haven't created a practice yet, let me just tell you from Greg, if I was going to do this over again, I would do this. If I'm a clinician and I've spent all this money and all this time into becoming a clinician, this is what I want to do. This is what gives me joy. I don't want to kill myself. I don't want to see 90 patients a week, but I want to make money because I spent money to become one and I want to get my investment back and more. And I want this to be a sustainable career. I do it this way.
People want to have outcomes. People are searching for outcomes. They're willing to invest in themselves if they believe that you will help them get the outcome that they want. That's my belief.
Yeah.
And I've seen it time and time again, and it's true. So it's amazing what we're able to do. And it gave us the structure and the framework that we didn't have prior. And I
Yeah.
love that we're able to deliver better outcomes because of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Karen, for being
And
on.
one
Thank
more
you for
thing, if
being
they
on the
want to
Secrets
reach
for
me, they can
Success.
give them my
Yeah.
email, katie@karendesimonie.com. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to, I want to help everybody be successful.
Yeah.
And this was such a game changer for me. And I think everybody needs that hope. Just like we have hope for our patients, we want hope for ourselves that,
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
work so hard for, we can continue to do in some way that helps us live our lives too.
I'm going to say your email again, kd@karenddesimone.com. Okay. So, you guys, reach out to her. Thank you for coming on. This is great. This is a
Thank
different
you.
spin
It's
on
good
it.
to
I
see
like it.
you.
All right. Okay. We'll
Yep.
see
Thank
you
you. Have
guys
a great
next time.
day. Thank you,
Okay. Bye
everyone.
bye.
Bye-bye.